Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is a request and it's about your hands. I do quite a lot of videos when we focus on hand care, and as part of the skin series, quite a few people have asked me really how you can tackle dryness, especially when it's just something that you can't seem to shift and it's just always there. So I've got a few areas that you can look at to try and identify within yourself, and then there's coincidentally a product that I got sent to try that I think could help quite a few of you that are really struggling with dryness through what you do at work or what your job is, and in a way that should be quite easy to use. Couple of seconds, on it goes, and you can just get on with it. So when you've got dry hands, it can be quite irritating, not only because the skin itself can be irritated, but also because it can be something that just starts to irritate you. And maybe if you take pride in your nails, or maybe you love to wear jewellery, or for some particular reason you like your skin to be a certain way, maybe you have to meet a lot of people, it gets embarrassing if you have to handshake and you just feel as if everything's a bit dry. It can be really irritating when you're trying to think of ways to tackle it and nothing seems to be working. So me personally, I don't tend to have any issues with dryness on the hands except when we get into the winter. And it took me quite a few years to work out, because at one point I thought that I had dermatitis. I thought maybe it was contact dermatitis with something irritating me, trying to work it all out. It turns out that in the last 5 or 10 years, every winter, round about the peak of winter, so it can be sort of November to January, I noticed that when the central heating goes up and you're in the car and you've got the heating on and you've got the warm air, that's drying out my hands. Then you're into the house or you're into your workspace and the heating's on, that's drying out the atmosphere. And then what was happening with me was I was getting significant dryness in my fingers, in between, even sort of peeling here, which is really unusual for me. And that's when I realised that it was actually an atmospheric situation for me. It was almost as if the dry atmosphere, the lack of moisture in the air, was causing me to have dry hands. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get any moisture to actually keep within the skin. Tried everything to exfoliate off the dry skin, it just wasn't happening. You would see a bit of improvement, but because the problem was ongoing and I wasn't tackling it at the source, the only way I could really see a difference was when we started moving into spring and you start cooling down your atmosphere in the house and you're not using the hot air in the car as much. So sometimes it's not your fault. There's other times, again, for another reason why it's not your fault. If you do actually have dermatitis, are you allergic to something? Are you possibly using a product and you don't realise that it's irritating you? Is it a cosmetic product? Is it a product you have to use in work? There's so many different things that can cause an allergy. It could be eczema. And again, that's where you would speak to your doctor about that, because with eczema, you can't really just use a product off the shelf and just hope that that'll work. Although you do hear people saying that they did find a lot of creams, it might be a Manuka honey cream or things like that, where they say that actually was more beneficial than something that was medically prescribed. But when it comes to eczema, you are best talking to a medical professional first, just to make sure that you know which type of eczema you've got, you know what you should be avoiding, you know what you can use to possibly help it, and then you can start exploring different treatments and different products that might help. But you might also have within your job maybe certain things that you have to do that are actually irritating your skin. So have you ever worked with a lot of paperwork and you feel as if when you're going through the reams and reams of paper, the paper is actually sucking the moisture out of your hands and they just feel super dry at the end? Sometimes you work in a job where your hands can get quite calloused and dry. There's so many reasons why you can suffer with dry skin. So the flip side of that is when I'm doing a lot of massages, a lot of facials, I'll get compliments on how soft my hands are and the good condition that they're in. And I have to be truthful and say a lot of the time that's not because of anything that I'm doing specifically. It's because of the treatments that I'm offering, and what's happening is I'm getting the byproduct of using those oils, using those creams, and then I've got constantly moisturised hands. But again, then we get into the winter and I know that I'm going to have that patch of time where everything is going to be super dry. So this is where I found a product that some of you might actually want to explore because it was very interesting. Seams. So this is a relatively new brand, 2012 it began, and it's Karen Gerard that discovered it. I discovered it by chance online, and I was impressed and intrigued because how often does a shop have only one product and that's it? This is the product. So the reason that Karen, and again you can look on our website and discover this for yourself, the reason that Karen created this hand cream was because she was suffering with the effects of dry hands because she was doing a millinery course at the London School of Fashion, I think it was. And obviously you're using a lot of fabrics, you're constantly working with your hands, pinpricks, all sorts of issues. And what happens, which a lot of us will relate to, is you'll use a product, whether it's prescribed or not, and it can be really effective at what you want it to do, but it leaves oily residue. And how often have you been working and even sometimes, again, shaking hands with someone, you go to do something, you think, right, hands, do my hand cream, be very quick, and then someone might say, oh, have you met this person, nice to meet you, and you're like, oh, my hand's slimy, sorry. Or again, you could be just thinking, right, I'll moisturise my hands, and then it could be a case of you can't lift a product because you might get oily residue on it. If it's, again, you're working with fabrics, you cannot touch those fabrics because if you get any oily residue on it, you're in trouble. Also, sometimes if there are people that say, I don't like using any moisturisers, I don't like using hand creams because I hate the residue, I do not want to feel it on my hands. So something like this I wanted to share with you because so many people do say to me, I've got an issue here, I don't like this, or I can't use that. So again, trying this out, and I'm going to cut in a little bit of a demo where I've used it on the model, and I've also got a male model just to try it on their hands too. It's just to show you how easy it can be to actually use a product where it will actually help to moisturise your skin. It won't leave a residue and you can just get on with the day. So Seams hand cream, and some of you might like the running theme through it again because it's been created by someone who's particularly in that industry of fashion, of, again, a lot of people in the theatre use it, a lot of people in TV, models. So I quite like the fact that it runs through it. So it mends, moisturises and soothes dry, hard-working hands. And again, you can read the ingredients list, but it's always got your moisturisers on it. It's doing what you need it to do, but it's sinking in quickly so you can get on with the rest of the day. So you could argue that I've actually put too much on, but I'll let you see right now just how quickly it goes into the hands. And remember, anyone that's watched before, I like to do back to back first and then finish off, just working my way through the hands. Anyone that's really into their skincare can do their moisturising massage routine, but likewise anyone that's just looking for a practical product so they can just get on with whatever they're doing, you can just use it however you want. If you want to do it as if you're washing your hands, just do it that way. Take it up to the elbows if you want. Don't worry about it getting onto anything because it sinks in super quick. So now that that's on, sometimes I'll say to you, right, I can feel that there's a little bit of residue. I like that because I want to then just relax and enjoy the product soaking in. Nothing wrong with that. You get those products for when you want to do that. But in this particular case, it's gone and I can now get on with the day. And as you'll see in the demo, we actually press it onto the model's hand and you can see that when we use the tissue afterwards, there's no residue there because you just need to do what you need to do. It can be as simple as needing to moisturise your hands, but making sure that there's no sliding when you're then carrying any equipment. So it was really just to make sure that you're aware that there are products out there that can help. And although no one ever claims to cure and everyone is different, take a look at the Seams Instagram because I was looking through it and just seeing who within the industry is using a product such as this. And there was a model, I believe, a model or an actress, and I'm sure it was in a theatre production, and they'd said that it actually helped to practically clear up their eczema. Now, because I've never suffered from it personally and I've had little patches of dermatitis and that was irritating enough, so if you've got eczema then you really do have my sympathy because just having any irritation is quite a challenge to work with. But when I read that the testimonial was that it almost completely cured it, if not took it away, then I think it might be interesting for some of you to investigate that further because you never know if you could also get the same results. But again, just to clarify, it's not sponsored. I just love sharing a product with you and I think that it might actually help you solve a problem if you're suffering from something particularly that's irritating you or you're just looking for something that's really quick and convenient. So just to reiterate, there's so many different reasons why we get dry hands at this time of year, but there's quite a lot of things you can do about it. And remember, if it is only seasonal, then you might be like myself, just plough through that and then you'll be fine when you come into the different season. For me, it's spring. But what I'm going to have this year that I've never had before is I'm going to try this product and keep using it through, and I'll let you know how I go. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll pop some links in the description box. And as always, if you liked it, don't forget to like, leave me a comment and subscribe to the channel.